obviously a pop-up live, my second live on YouTube, and welcome to the theElpyDimension. I wonder if this is the part where this is my second time live on YouTube. I've gone live 3 times now on TT, and not so that's slow going over there, but it's good practice for me. And I know it's different when people, to have a faceless channel to not be visible, but what can you do? So while I'm just gonna talk, because that's what I do. What I have dropped so far today is what I was just dropping on my other live was hello individual. Someone's in here, doesn't say who you are, but hello. I am dropping seeds. If you don't know me, if you haven't been to my channel, I am Elpy of the theElpyDimension. Oh, hey! Yeah, you got me live. How are you doing? Freeland Farm. Nice to see you. I am dropping seeds. I was actually just live over on TT, and I decided that's kind of slow going over there, so let me come over here. You probably already know that this is only my second time live, so bear with me as I learn how to ramble at the camera like I normally do, except there's actually someone there. So good. I'm glad to hear that. How are you? How's your seed starting going? This is what I just started in the last hour. This giant pansy, black pansy. I just got these this year. Little Hero Fire marigolds. They're supposed to be a smaller marigold. I'm going to take these. I dropped these inside, but I am going to take the trays outside that I put these in. So I've got the purple coneflower. Hello there, Jay Laurent. Dropping some seeds in Michigan. I also just got these, the Tiger Lita Viola, and dropped those seeds. As well as the Unzen Kobu mustard. I did not have, all of a sudden, 38 people. Well, hello. Just onions so far, celery and asparagus. I've yet to grow asparagus, but I have sown onions and celery. I actually dropped some more onions yesterday, I think it was. But those that I have planted are up. And I do have 3 or 4 celery seedlings. I think I need to get them closer to the light because they're kind of leggy. How many do you grow? I imagine it's a lot, judging from what you've told me about how many garlic was it? You had like hundreds of garlic. I also dropped, thank you for the thumbs up, Purple Lady Bok Choy, the Lita Fire Viola, and here is the White Swan Echinacea. I'm really hope 5,000. Okay, I almost said 1,000, and then I'm like, no, that can't be right. That's amazing. I just went out yesterday before the storms, and I saw that the garlic that I planted in November has started to sprout. So I'm glad to see that. 600 onion. Jeez. That's really cool. Do you have a farm stand, or is that just all family? Is that for personal use? Gosh, that's so awesome. 600. Wow. Okay, so those are the seeds that I've dropped so far today, and what I'm going to start with. This is the Purple Lady Bok Choy and the Unzen Kobu mustard. And then this whole 6 cell is the little marigold. Oh, shoot. Now I'm going to drop, if I can find, got all my little seeds here. Black Magic Kale. I feel like I should already have an open package of these. And Champion Collards. And I didn't have any collards that made it to overwintering this year, but in 23 and 24, I actually had collards over winter. In fact, in the winter of 23, I think it was. Maybe it was 24. I went outside and found aphids. It had snowed and the collards were covered in snow, but on the underside of the collards were aphids. I was like, are you serious? Yeah, that was, oh man, that was not cool. That was not cool at all. Yeah, so I'm going to grow some. I have one collard that I've actually just been letting grow. I've not even been harvesting from it out in my hoop house. All right, so Champion collards, I'm going to do 3 cells. And I'm going to do 3 in each one. Now, I am in the writing world, we call it sell some to people we know and some to... Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I hope that they advertise, well, if you want them to, that it's, I would assume that they say, yeah. I get tongue-tied. I get a little socially anxious. It's easy for me to ramble, but because these seeds are from 2021, I'm going to go ahead and drop multiple seeds in each hole, which I don't always like to do. Yeah, I get social anxiety, and I suddenly find it difficult to speak, even though I can just ramble forever and ever. Now, I was saying, what a lucky health food store to have actual local produce. And I would assume they market it as such. And that's something I wish that I really wish that we would encourage, how do I word it without making it weird? More small farms again. You know, instead of all these industrial farms and all these miles that are put on our food, when really, you know, you're evidence that you sell to a store near you, that there are plenty of foods, and good foods at that we can get locally. And I think wasn't it last year in 2025 that there was that massive carrot recall? And I remember reading that the recall was all out of, now I'm going to do the black magic kale, was all out of California. And they were organic carrots too. And I'm thinking, why are we... I'm in Michigan. Why are we buying carrots from California? Why is California supplying the entire nation of for carrots? And I think they said that they were either... Now these are newer seeds. So I'm just going to put 2 in each of these, because I have more than one kale. I like kale. I don't love kale. It's good for me. It goes into that category. what was I saying? Yeah, it blew my mind. I read that the carrot grower seller was like, I think the largest producer of carrots in the world, maybe. And I just was like, why? Why is there one carrot uh carrot provide? I mean, this is insane. And I wish those were things that we talked about more, you know. But that's what I love about, I'm steering clear of getting too serious with my thoughts. So let's wind it back, LP. That's what I love about the YouTube community and the gardening community overall, is that we are, and I'm proud to call myself among all the gardeners, because prior to 2020, there were some sporadic years that I gardened, but it was 2020 that really kicked it off for me. Okay, so now we've got the collards and the black magic kale. I don't really have a plan, I'll be honest. Okay. Now we're gonna do, oh, do I have, I was trying to get all my labels, plant tags ready before I did this. And I did and I didn't at the same time. So I'm planting the ones that I have the labels for right here. Bear with me just a moment. All right. The St. John's Fire Salvia and Vanity Verbena. So I've not grown either one of these. I just got this. 90 days, perennial in zone 7 to 10, grown as an annual. Vibrant and compact, attracts pollinators. 30 inches tall, summer to fall blooms. Perfect choice for the avid landscaper, cottage gardener, or pollinator enthusiast. 12 to 14 weeks before you last. Well, I'm a little bit late getting this planted, but hey. They prefer darkness to germinate. Interesting. Because it says surface sow, but they prefer darkness to germinate. That provide consistent warmth. Surface sow, darkness to germinate. All right, it's kind of like carrots then, huh? So I guess I'll put the verbena in here. Freeland Farm, have you ever grown verbena? Do you have any tips for me? Salvia, I grew pink Sunday salvia sage last year, and I'm waiting to see if it's going to come back this year. I don't know if it's supposed to. And then I've sown seeds and have a little bit of germination for Blue Monday sage salvia. And now we're going to try this one for the first time. So, oh, they do not say what. Never grown that. Okay. You and me both. They looked pretty, and aren't they an herb? Let's see. Okay, well, apparently there's a whole bunch in this family. I thought it was I'm going to have to do some more homework. Okay, so this is the one that needs to be surface sown. And the salvia, I know the old packets in my gardener didn't say what, didn't used to mark the depth that these were supposed to be planted at. And at some point, I know you just kind of remember, but I tend to forget. Anywho, I'm gonna say that they go an eighth of an inch. How about that? Let's look at the seeds. So, Freeland Farm. Hello, Tillet. Tillet 4. Hello, how you doing? Welcome from Connecticut. I am in Michigan, zone 6A. I am dropping seeds, starting seeds. Whoa. That's indoors. I am probably 8 weeks out from my last frost, but I'm getting seeds started indoors and to go outdoors. Tillet, are you a gardener or a plant person? All right. And Freeland, what was I going to ask you? Oh, when do you start your peppers and tomatoes? Just curious. St. John Fire Salvia. Let's do, I'm going to put the salvia in, well, nope, I'm going to do salvia. We're going to do only 2, and then the other things that I put in here will also be only 2. So these seeds are from 2021. So I'm going to put, that's a little more than an eighth. Didn't I just say an eighth? You know what? Maybe we'll drop a bunch. See what happens. I'm also in zone 6. Oh yeah, true. Connecticut is zone 6. All right, well, welcome, fellow zone 6er. Are you, I've just started some of my, all right, awesome. Are you growing in ground, raised beds, containers? I have containers, as in buckets, pots, but also raised beds. Forgive me if I have seen you before and you already know this, and okay. My dad actually got me another green stalk for Christmas. He didn't even tell me that it was coming, so it was a nice surprise. I got home and I'm like, what? I had to have that moment of, did I order something? No. So I'm pretty excited. It's a leaf. And this year I'm going to be growing, okay, so that is the St. John Fire Salvia. These I might put in my in-ground. Hot peppers in early April. Early April, okay. Sweet bell and tomatoes in mid to late April. Okay. Good for you. Yeah, tomatoes, I feel like I should get things started early. A lot of that is just the anticipation that you want to, especially if you're on social media and you see a lot of other gardeners are growing and you're like, I want to grow stuff too. And, but then a lot of times with tomatoes, I'm like, dude, they grow so fast. I wind up with these leggy little creatures, and it gets screwy. And this year I told myself I was going to start my peppers in mid-February, and then I got to thinking, oh, I don't think we need to do that. So I figured, all right, well, at least March 1st. I think last year I got started in March. So these are the verbena seeds. They say Minimum 50 seeds, $3.50. I do not like these little air packs. I just, on my other live, oh man, Petunia. Have either of you, okay, Tillet, I missed you. Containers, totes, and starting green stalk. Nice. All right, congrats on the green stalk, and heck yeah on the containers and totes. There's so much that can be grown in small spaces. Humanities, 648. The One Piece is real. Are you talking about the show? That's really strange because I just saw some of that earlier, and that is a really strange and interesting show. It wasn't the cartoon. I know it's based on why can't I think? It's based on a comic that they then turned into a cartoon that they then turned into a live action show. And it is interesting and weird at the same time. Okay, these are the verbena seeds. See, I do not like these little... All right, surface sow. What I like to actually do with the surface sow is kind of chop it up and then mush it back down. But what hot peppers in April. Okay, so you start yours. If I was starting mine in April, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm starting late. But obviously I know you know what you're doing. Do you start yours in a greenhouse freeland, or do you indoors, or? And Tillet, you said you've started your peppers and eggplant. How many, hot peppers, sweet peppers? I did not have very good luck with, oh my goodness, with eggplant last year. I planted a whole bunch and barely any of them did anything. I think I had the one jewel amethyst and the green stalk. I think that was the only one that made it. I haven't started eggplants yet. But yeah, I was saying I've tend to, this year I think I am going to aim for starting my tomatoes later than I have been because they grow so fast. So I probably will start in April. Indoors. Okay. Awesome. I have the, all right. I so do not like these. I need to tape these and the others that I cracked open today. All right, so these need darkness. So I'll put like a piece of paper or cardboard or something over it, kind of like you would a carrot. Which I didn't do my carrots. I actually, by the way, these are what I started earlier. The Elise Mix Louisia. I've never seen or grown these before, but I think they're quite beautiful. Peace Petunia. These seeds are just ridiculous. And the Copper Spotted Petunia. Yeah, I dropped in my, all right. I have a cardboard box behind me that the parrot was already after, so I might as well. Yeah, we've been unseasonably warm. which has been wonderful. I mean, we got up to 70 something the other day. All right. Now I know I'll need to spritz this. However, this will help me remember that this is what. Okay. Yay. All right, so we've done the St. John Salvia in these two here. We've got the Champion Collards back here, Black Magic Kale. Prior to coming on live, I did the Little Hero Fire Marigolds, Unzen Kobu Mustard, and Purple Lady Bok Choy, and some others. So now I need these 4 and these 3. These are supposed to be saved for peppers, but yeah, so I think I'll start my tomatoes in April. Have either of you or any of you, it was 70 plus yesterday and almost, yes. Yeah, so same. Yes, well, today we were in the 50s and now we're in the 30s. And I guess that was our second fall spring. And we did get rain last night. We were supposed to storm, but we didn't really get hit, so thank the Lord. Yeah. I have a little bit of storm anxiety, to say the least. Not that it's just based on anxiety. I have had some trees fall on my house, but in the past they did very minimal damage, but I was actually outside when it happened, so it was super freaky. Yeah, that was not so fun. But yeah, it's been super nice. And I went ahead and so I have 2 hoop houses, and one of them I went ahead and pulled the chickweed. Was mostly dead, but and the salad burnet is still in there. That is a delicious herb. If you have either of you ever grown, heard of, or tasted salad burnet, this is the Mad Hatter pepper that I grew for the first time last year. This is a sweet pepper shaped like a bishop's crown. And so they're kind of small. That's, yeah. Yeah. Cool little shape, and the plants, they produce pretty well. I think I'm going to grow it in ground or in my raised bed this year, but they're sweet, like bell pepper sweet. Maybe a little sweeter, but definitely a nice snack size and just a cool, all around cool pepper. So I saved seeds, and I am going to grow. Let's go ahead and drop 3. I think for sure I want 1 plant, but I think I might want 2. But I am always super overzealous about what I want to grow. When you see the things that I say I'm going to grow, you probably think I have a farm like Freeland Farm, but I don't. Thankfully, when it stormed here, we're only lost. Oh, yeah, that is definitely thankful for things falling around the house as opposed to on the house. Yeah. I used to love storms as a kid. When I was a kid, I loved them. Back when insurance and property matters were not my problem. Storms were fantastic. And I did for a long time, even into young adulthood, but I guess not so much anymore. I'm looking for, next time I come on live, I'll be better prepared. I thought I was kind of prepared. I was, but then I became unprepared as soon as the live started. Um, have Burnett seeds, but haven't ever eaten any before trying new foods. Oh yeah, good for you. That's one of the best things that about gardening is that you get to try new foods and you get to spice up your meals. Um, Even really simple things like salads. I am no longer satisfied with salads that are like just romaine lettuce. I mean, I get it like with the Caesar salad, that's kind of standard. But when I go places like I love Panera, but um I feel like they used to have more mixed greens than they did, and I feel like, come on guys, mix it up. And and I'm sure you all know who are in here that who are gardeners in here, that there are so many varieties out there. I mean, I've got collards. I know that's not really something you put in a salad. I mean, you can, but black magic kale, there's umpteen different varieties of lettuce and different varieties of spinach. I absolutely love mustard greens. Um, and there's so many different kinds of them. And then with the herbs, the salad burnet is a really cool looking herb, and it grows in they say a rosette. They kind of all grow out from the center and spread. And they kind of have a cucumber taste. I like them quite a bit. So now I like if I add greens to ramen, I add yes, okay, red lettuce seeds, right. Right. So it's not even about the taste. You know, some lettuce might, I don't really have a very defined palate. And so I couldn't taste all the lettuces and tell you without a shadow of a doubt what they taste like. I might still try, but think. But even just how they look, that you've got red ones, you've got speckled ones, you've got ones that are curly, you know, it fascinates me that more people don't garden, but then I guess it doesn't, because it can be stressful, but it's worth it. I mean, the groundhog, okay. So jalapenos, these are older seeds from 2020. I am going to grow, I'm going to put 3 in here, but I also have jalapeno seeds that I saved. So I'd like to have at least 3 jalapeno plants. So I'm going to do 3 of my gardener jalapeno. What's interesting is that I have grown jalapeno seeds, I think, from this packet. That one season, the plants were not hot. You know what? Maybe I'll drop an extra one for good measure. They weren't hot. They were supposed to be, but they weren't. And I like jalapenos though, because while I've learned to like heat more than I used to, I still like the flavor of a jalapeno, but I might not always want the heat. Freeland. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Oops. My creaky floor. Hold the thought. After these messages, I'll be right back. Am I dating myself? Okay. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I know you can still hear me. You should be able to still hear me, assuming my Bluetooth didn't die. Okay. Oh, haven't grown this kind yet, but I will this year. I have grown this. This is my African gray parrot's. He prefers that over the yellow Swiss chard. So yes, actually, there were 3 Swiss chard plants. I do plan to grow all of these this year. Do you have any tips? Do you start yours? When do you start your chard, Freeland? I know M.I. Gardner says 5 to 6 weeks before the last frost. So the chard did not hold up in the hoop. Well, due to a family emergency, I was not able to start to cover my bed 3, the 4x4 bed outside with the plastic. I wasn't able to get that done in time, so the plastic wound up being just laying over the bed and snowed on, covered with ice, all the things. And then in, I think it was January, we had a thaw, and I was able to fix it and put it back together. So of course the Swiss chard plants that were in there didn't survive. But I've never had Swiss chard survive over the winter for me here. So these are what I actually broadcast sowed in the exact bed that I'm talking about. Speaking of pretty lettuce, I dropped these. These and spinach that I don't know where it is now. Butterfly spinach. And I don't know what I expect to happen, but it should be interesting. I've had no germination yet, which the lettuce, now that it's cold, we'll see. All right, am I getting behind? I think most people don't know how. And yeah, you're absolutely right, because there were things, even as I grew up around farmers, and I loved plants myself. I thought growing was cool. You know, in elementary school, we grew, you know, to learn about plants, we grew a bean, you know, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And trying to find my saved seeds. Oh, ADD, my brain is like, yeah, so basically what I'm saying is I grew up outdoors. I grew up around farmers. I loved the idea of gardening. I tried to grow multiple times. And yet still, when I started my garden at my current location, I just had these pepper seeds. Oh, there they are. Okay. I still was intimidated. There were a lot of things that I felt like, oh, is it okay to do this? Is it okay to do that? And now I'm a lot more bold. So I totally get it. I remember wondering all kinds of weird questions. But yeah, you're right. And that's what I love about, again, what I love about the gardening community is that while there's a really dark side to social media, I've learned that there's also an amazing, amazing community here that everybody wants to teach everybody else for the most part. Everybody is excited to share and to say, you know, to answer questions. And like I say in the description of my channel, I'm not a how-to channel. I'm not a teaching channel. I'm more so just showing you my perspective, how I do things, just taking you on my journey. But, you know, I say, feel free to ask me questions. And if I don't know the answer, then I'm pretty sure I'll know someone who does. And I've grown so much because of YouTube. As a gardener, I've learned the majority of what I've learned from YouTube. I mean, my 86-year-old great uncle and I used to, rest in peace, we'd talk gardening all the time, and sometimes I taught him things that he didn't know. And that was really cool. And those were things that I learned from YouTube. Okay, so these are jalapeno seeds that I saved from my garden last year. Now I've dropped 3, 4 technically, because one went in that hole. Okay. And the thing I got excited about a minute ago, and then I'll come back to your comments, is I don't know if okay. Oh no, you've misplaced your kohlrabi seeds. I actually just got 2 new varieties of kohlrabi. Let me go locate them. From Baker Creek. Did you guys happen to see my video about Baker Creek? I'm very excited with them. That when you go to check out, they tell you, they offer free shipping. However, they tell you that free shipping does not come with tracking. And if you've ever shipped anything in recent times, then you know the tracking comes automatically with packages. So it's kind of funny that they say if you want, you're not going to get tracking with free shipping. But if you want tracking and you want it to ship faster, then you can pay for shipping. And of course, when my package arrived, guess what? It had a tracking number on it. So, okay. Tell it. So, I want to see what is the difference in all these different varieties. I have purple kohlrabi, and I also have white Vienna kohlrabi. But now we have Azure Star, Blauer Speck, and Delicacy White. So I'm going to try to grow these 3 as well as the others I have, and see what really is the difference. This is Blauer Speck, old German variety, large, flattened, and ultra fine-grained, buttery flavored stems. Large bulbs and sparse foliage, ideal for a tighter plant spacing. That sounds really appealing to me, though it's interesting that these have lots of leaves on them. The Azure Star, a refined, highly respected variety favored by both home gardeners and market farmers. It produces perfectly round, plum purple bulbs that are sweet, crisp, and incredibly tasty. All right. You know what's funny is that these look like they have less leaves than these, because you see those are where leaves were. Anyways, and the Delicacy White, 65 days, beautiful smooth globes, are a lovely light green, quite uniform, flesh is tender and high quality. I know Freeland and I have, I think we have, because there's another Kifa Pete. There's this ongoing conversation, about varieties. How many of the varieties we see are actually new varieties, and how many of them are a seed company calling it something else? You know, because some things I see and I'm like, how is that different? Like champagne, last year I grew champagne bubbles cherry tomato for the first time. And I got the seeds from G Mama Grows Hard in the Garden. Definitely check her out. If you don't follow her, I recommend you do. She's a great small space gardener, and just a great gardener overall. She does a lot of indoor gardening, a lot of cool stuff, and she has a pet rabbit. But she sent me champagne bubble seeds with this prize that I won in 2024. And I also grew white cherry tomato for like the third or fourth time. It's a really great cherry tomato. And I couldn't tell the difference between the two of them. And I thought, are they the same? Anyways, so new kohlrabi seeds. Gonna check those out. All right, Freeland, it's your first year growing chard. Okay. Yeah, good call. It can handle some cold, not as cold as, say, the brassicas. But I do love that chard can handle the heat, that it grows throughout, it can grow throughout the summer. I also got this mustard Chinese bald head. Isn't that strange and cool? 70 to 90 days. This unusual root crop is a winter staple in northern China and may be poised to become the next exciting winter crop for market farmers and homesteaders. A cool season crop with a mild, spicy mustard flavor. It is typically pickled or stir-fried. Looks like a turnip. I guess they're related, so yeah. Okay. I've had, depends on what you call success with carrots. I've grown carrots, and last year actually I think was my most successful year in terms of like, I think I got some carrots that were 3 or 4 inches long. I can germinate some of them, or get them to germinate. Even then, my germination rate is pretty low, but I don't have great success with getting good roots. That's kind of me with everything. Radish, carrots, beets. Me and root crops we're going to learn to be better friends. That being said, I cannot help you till it with carrots, except you probably already know this. You want looser soil with carrots. Do you have trouble germinating them or just trouble growing them, period? Freeland Farm might be able to help you with that because they grow. Freeland, are you a carrot connoisseur? Mostly friendly folks in the gardening and wormery. Yes, Tillet. I have seen you around. I knew I'd seen your name before. I believe you have commented on my videos. My apologies for that taking me so long. And so you are a worm farmer as well. Freeland, though they are not currently making content, which is understandable because it kind of is a job in and of itself. But Freeland, if you ever change your mind, I know you have some cool stuff to show. Anyways, Freeland is also a fellow worm farmer. Yes. I just finally found out I've been attempting to grow in the wrong seasons. Oh, what were you trying to grow carrots in the summer maybe? Because spring and fall, I think. All right, what was I doing? Oh, I need to put something in those. Oh, right. The thing I was excited about. Put these away. And I'm going to need to get another one of my little... Just pausing, having a moment of... All right, those I've not... let's go ahead and... So, last year I grew... Let me know if either one of you have grown the Goliath jalapeno. The Goliath jalapeno, I thought I had a pack of seeds from M.I. Gardner, but then I found a seed thing from Jimmy Pickles. And I know I have a Goliath jalapeno tag, but I'll find it later, I guess. We'll make a new one. Yeah, so let me know if either of you have grown the Goliath jalapeno. And if you have, I'd love to hear your experience with it. If you have not, then I highly recommend you do. They grew really well for me last year. I grew it in... I know, I have terrible handwriting. I could have just blamed it on the marker, but it's not the marker's fault. Yeah, so I saved seeds from the biggest jalapeno. I let it sit on the plant till it at least started to turn red. And I saved seeds, and I'm excited because it was a productive plant, and they really were big jalapenos, which made for great jalapeno poppers. And I'm almost tempted to grow 2. Maybe I'll put 2 in that hole. I'm almost tempted to grow 2 pots of these because I want for sure 2 plants. I had more than 1 plant. In fact, I think I had 3 plants, but the one in ground did the best. Okay, yuppers growing in the summer. Yeah, you know, I have, hello, Teach Happy. Hello, and welcome to the live. I'm dropping some seeds and chatting with my gardening buddies here. My gardening and worm farm buddies. Welcome to the live. If you would like to share, if you're a gardener, and whereabouts, I'm not asking for your exact location, but like country, state, zone, yeah, I'd love to know. But yeah, I guess I learn best through my mistakes, and every mistake in the garden is a lesson, that's for sure. That's lost my train of thought because I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do next. Okay, carrots. I broad fork, then lay down 3/4 inch sifted compost, then plant at 3/4 inch so seed just contacts the soil. Oh, sorry. So Freeland, you're saying you plant them 3/4 inches deep? So carrots, don't let the compost dry out. The extra depth holds moisture and helps keep the seeds from dying. This works for summer seeding, and carrots germinate fast. Oh. Just regular jalapenos, but want to try. Yeah, I highly recommend, Tillet, you give other jalapenos a shot, because they are well worth it. I'm growing orange spice, lemon spice, pumpkin spice, regular jalapeno, and Goliath jalapeno this year. I think that the orange spice is a little bit spicier and the lemon spice is a little bit spicier than regular jalapenos. I could be wrong, but if my audio is going out a little bit, it's because I need to get my phone charger plugged up. So I'm working that out. I'm grateful to have a 10-foot charging cord. Makes life easier. Yeah, so back to what my gardener is Freeland Farm. I preserve. Oh, Teach Happy. Are you... So you and Freeland Farm are... you guys work together or live together, or you guys are Freeland farmers. The Freeland farmers. Married. Congrats on being married. Awesome. Well, Teach Happy. It's so nice to meet you. I enjoy many great comment conversations with Freeland about worm farming, especially, and gardening. And it's very nice to meet the other half of Freeland Farm. Oh, that's wonderful. So you are when you say Teach Happy, when you say your gardener, so Freeland is the farmer and you are the preserver. Is that correct? Well, see, teamwork makes the dream work. My guy does not garden. He leaves that to, he's very supportive and very interested, but he's like, I let you do the gardening. And so he's, if I need something done, he's there to help. And he's pretty willing to taste things that he probably wouldn't otherwise taste. But, yeah, it's always nice to have a support in the early jalapeno has always been my go-to. Oh, awesome. You teach 2nd grade. Oh, that's so nice. Well, I think that I would imagine that gardeners make great elementary school teachers. I didn't have a great 2nd grade teacher, but that's okay. She could have been worse. Awesome. And Freeland, I've never grown the early jalapeno. Do you find, I presume you're saying that because there's a difference between just regular jalapeno and early jalapeno, like it really does produce earlier. It's always a lesson to learn in the garden, even if there's not a heart. Absolutely. Yeah, you're so right. I'm right now, well, as I think forward, so it's right now because it's on my mind, the groundhog. If you've probably seen my videos and heard me cry about the groundhog, man, they did a number on me last year, and I do not appreciate that. I really, really don't. Yeah. But yeah, I still love gardening. Okay. So, okay, Freeland, you were commenting on how you grow carrots. I've never heard of anyone, I know so you put 3/4 inch of compost on there. You don't let the compost dry out, and you plant the carrots 3/4. I've never heard anyone plant carrots that deep. That's really interesting. But I can see, because I know you're planting it in the compost, and they do say to cover carrots. I just sprinkled like a light layer. Bear with me a moment while I step away again. You'll still be able to hear me, hopefully. So, yeah, now I've already started some carrots, but I have others that I really am very curious to try that method now. I'm probably going to have to get off here at least by 8:30, just so everyone knows. The time is going by so fast, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. Thank you all for your time and your interest. Live trap with carrots or apples in it. Yep, that's what I caught one last year that it was so small, and it wound up being my, I don't know if it was male or female, but wound up being the problem, the biggest problem. It was so small that I was like, oh man, I can't, and I can't move you. But carrots and apples. Okay, yeah, I've given them whatever fruits and vegetables and yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do. I used to 4 years ago, my dog passed. And as long as I had her, I had no groundhogs. And it probably took 2 years for them to realize that my yard was once again a friendly place. And ever since then, oh geez. I wish you could have seen my garden before I had to put up all the sort of fencing, the hardware cloth that I've put around the garden. Because it was so pretty how things would just be able to just overflow the edge of the raised beds. But yeah. Yep. That's what I'm going to have to do for sure. This year I'm attempting to grow everything. Yeah, good for you, Tillet. It's very rewarding. It is more effort in terms of you got to have the space. If you don't already, I highly recommend you do get some actual plant lights. I would grow peppers and tomatoes indoors the first couple of years, and I just put them under like my regular lights, and they did fine. But once I think it was 2024. No, was it? Or was it 2025? That I finally got an actual plant stand with actual lights, and even still it could use some improvement, but it was well worth the investment. And lights, there are a lot of relatively cheap lights out there that can do wonders for sure. But it's definitely worth it. It's cheaper. Battles with chipmunks since sorry for the loss of your dog. Yeah, that's a bummer. And chipmunks here's a thing that used to freak me out when I first started in 2020. Let's go ahead and drop the historic florist mix pansy. I'll put these here because I already have. There's one more type of pansy, celestial blue pansy. So I really only want these two because I have a lot of little flowers. Surface Sow. Interesting because my other pansies say lightly cover. So who do I listen to? Baker Creek with their lightly cover. Let's do both. Let's mix this up. Just loosen it up. Yeah, so in 2020, I only had my 3 raised beds. I did build them. I was very proud of that. And all right, so what I'm going to do here. Well, okay. So in 2020, I had my 3 raised beds, and I grew Roma tomatoes, and with minimal success, and Bumblebee artisan tomatoes. It was a mix from Botanical Interest. Cherry tomatoes, Bumblebee artisan cherry tomatoes. All right, now these are new seeds, right? Yes. 2025. Those I'm going to lightly cover. And these I'm not going to cover. Well, let's see. Perennials, zone 4 to 9, start seeds indoors 8 to 12 weeks, grow in full sun to partial shade, best in cool conditions, likes a cool, moist, woodsy soil. I've never eaten the pansy blossoms. Okay. Yeah, I'm really glad you caught me live as well, Tillet. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Freeland, as well, and Teach Happy. That's a great. I love that name even more, knowing that you are a teacher, because I had my kindergarten teacher was a super happy woman, and I can see her face to this day. And that's just being happy. I know we can't all be happy all the time, but like as a teacher, I've had some pretty dry teachers, some pretty cranky teachers. And to be, all right, so those I lightly covered. These I'm going to push down a little bit. I'm going to mist everything, spray everything with the squirt bottle later. My cockatoo does not appreciate squirt bottles, so. Yeah, but being a happy teacher, just a kind teacher too, is everything. You know, it makes school that much more enjoyable because you feel like, cool, I'm happy to be in the presence of this adult. Okay. Yeah, chipmunks. Yes, Freeland. So do you deal with groundhogs? Please remind me. I'm sure you said something before. I know you've mentioned the trapping before. Do you deal with them? Because my gardening life has been completely different since the groundhogs invaded me, invaded my space. Yeah, it's been a little bit sad. Okay, that is the historic. Oh, here's the celestial blue. I've grown this before. It is very pretty. I don't know that I got that many. I don't recall that they were quite that blue. Where's the tag? Oh, so we were talking earlier, Tillet, you were talking about learning in the garden. See, I've taken to, I just labeled all these bags for my plant tags because I have so many plant tags and I have so many duplicates that I'm like, all right, that's it. Get bags, label them for each different plant or variety, flowers, tomatoes, etc. I thought I set aside the celestial blue because I knew I was about to plant it. But yeah, so we were talking about lessons and we were talking about, Tillet, you said something about people being afraid to start gardening. And I said, absolutely. You know, I remember, I'll find it later. I remember that first year in 2020 when I had these 3 cherry tomato plants. I discovered one day a half-eaten, and isn't that the worst that they only eat the stuff? I feel like if you're gonna go ahead and steal the food, then eat it. No, they just eat some of it and then move on to the next one. I set it aside, and of course, I don't currently know where it is. Of course. That's obviously a different one. All right, since these are the last 2, I'll remember. But yeah, so I had these 3 cherry tomato plants. I discovered this half-eaten. I'm going to do the same thing with these. I'm going to, this side is going to be slightly covered. And this side is going to be surface sown. But I discovered the half-eaten fruit, and I was like, man, these chipmunks. And then it wasn't right that day, but eventually, not too long later, I noticed that the chipmunks, were climbing up the plants, because I noticed that the stems of the plants had dirt on them, that they were dirty, like a bunch of mangy little feet were running up and down them, and that freaked me out. That had my OCD go, my anxiety. I was like, oh my God, oh no. And I was really concerned. I was really like, is that okay? Like, what do I do? And I was worried about the other fruit. Like, I seriously went into this anxious panic of the chipmunks are all over the plant and they're touching everything. And now I understand that, yep, that's what they do. That's what they do. And I mean, that doesn't mean I don't care when they eat something. If they bite into something, I do care. I don't eat that. But I've learned not to be so afraid and so anxious. You know, I totally freaked out. I felt like, oh my gosh, what? Yep. And imagine all the food you get from the store. You have absolutely no idea what, I mean, heck, just the stuff out there. You have no idea what's running over it, on it, what's happening to it. All right, I'm rambling and I'm not reading. Carrots, and this year I'm attempting to grow everything. Okay, yes. Groundhogs aren't too bad here, the rabbits. You know, if you've seen my videos, you know what I'm about to say. I thought that the rabbits were a problem, but not as big of a problem. And then this winter, man, they did a number on, they mowed my blueberry bush down, both of them, and they girdled one of my young fruit trees. Oops. Okay. Not sure what you're saying oops to. Something I said maybe? Yeah, that's why I thought that rabbits were okay. Because I thought, well, the groundhogs climb, and they'll also like the chipmunks as well. The first year I had my strawberry bed, I put mesh over it, and I thought, ha, yeah, try to get my strawberries now. And then I came out and found holes, and they were small. It was not the groundhog. The chipmunks dug holes through the mesh, and I thought, my goodness, you sons. And I noticed the groundhogs did the same thing with some of my mesh. Like, I put up the hardware cloth, like the fencing basically, around the beds. And then I also would put up the mesh because I thought, okay, so you can climb the hardware cloth. All right, climb the mesh. Well, they went under it and they went over it. And in some cases, they dug through it. And I thought, well, I know rabbits are a problem, but at least the rabbits don't climb and they don't like dig through. I know rabbits can dig, but they aren't as aggressive. They aren't as problematic. But man, this winter, I looked out there and I thought, oh, geez, I don't think the rabbits are as much my friends as I thought they were. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I have a lot more seed starting to do. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to do it with you guys tonight. I'll show you what, because I've been rambling. But I have more peppers that I need to plant. I'm going to drop seeds for the red boar kale. And I know it's kind of early to be dropping But then again, not really, right? It's early per the packet that they say. Well, actually, they recommend starting indoors 4 to 6 weeks before. But since this is a cold hardy crop, I am going to put this out as soon as I can. I'm also going to grow the feathered frills kale. I had a little bit of success with this last year or the year before. The Cipollini red onion. Never grown that before. I've only had success growing red acre cabbage. And of all the seeds I dropped, only one came up. But I'm going to keep trying. So I'm going to try again with the early Jersey Wakefield. I did successfully grow these last year, Quartet Marine stock. I didn't know they were cold hardy, so I was very, very surprised when they survived. I thought for sure they weren't cold hardy. So when they survived our first frost and then the next frost, I was like, oh my gosh, my plants are amazing. No, they're still amazing, but so they're really pretty and they smell really nice. So I'm going to grow these again. I'm also going to drop seeds for the Golden Marconi. I got these in 2021. And when I first grew these, really delicious pepper, but I only got like 2 off of a plant. And that kind of discouraged me from growing these at all because I'm like, gosh, one plant only gives me 2 peppers. And I thought the same thing about bell peppers, but I'm learning more and more about soil biology and how important it is to feed your soil. Do not underestimate. Freeland, you know this. Tillett, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do not underestimate feeding the soil. I absolutely do. I always forget to feed. Last year I was a little bit better, but my California Wonder, I keep calling it Cali King, Cali Giant. My California Wonder bell pepper, I got 13 peppers off of it last year. And for me, that's a big deal. I didn't know, I was like, my first couple of years, I thought, yeah. But so I also have a volunteer that grew, a volunteer Marconi so I think I'm going to grow a plant from these original seeds and one from my volunteer. And again, I'm going to grow the Petite Charmer Blend Petunia. They really do reseed nicely. And then this Multiflora F2 mix. So I was saying on I think it was my TikTok live, I'm going to attempt the onion sets this year. Picked a blend mix. Oh, awesome. Good for you, Tillett. My great uncle used to grow from sets every year, and he had great success. I've not yet grown from sets. I probably, last year was the first year that I actually grew from sets. No. Last year was the first year that I grew onions, period. I've grown bunching onions, but I've tried like the crystal wax onions, the smaller ones, but last year I actually had some success. They were small onions, but they grew for me. That reminded me, have either of you, and then I should go. That's good for a Cali Wonder. I think you would know, Freeland, probably better than me. I thought it was just really good for me, but they didn't all, now let me say, they didn't all ripen before the freeze hit, but I still got, a bell pepper, a green bell pepper is still a bell pepper, but still I got 13 fruits, and some, a couple of them were pretty dang big, so I'm going to grow seeds. Actually, I'm growing quite a few Cali Wonders. Some from my seeds. Why aren't I growing all from my... No, I am growing all from my seeds. I think I have 2 of these Bootstrap Farmer with 3 each. That's what I grew last year, and then I'll up pot them. Yeah, so I thought so too. Thank you. I definitely, I was very pleased. I'm like, we're growing this more. Um, so what I was going to ask you guys before I head out of here in a few minutes, have you heard the, have you ever heard the old timers say that you plant peas and potatoes on Good Friday? That's what my great uncle would, the weekend, if not Good Friday itself, that's what he was always taught, that peas and potatoes go in on Good Friday. So this year I have four, I'm growing four, I have four teeny tiny Clancy potato seedlings from actual seeds that are growing right now. They look very fragile. I've grown them once before from seed, and but I might get some sets too, just to honor him. So this year I am going to grow potatoes. But yeah, have either of you heard that? Have you heard to grow peas and potatoes on Good Friday? I don't remember when he would put his onions in, but yeah, he grew from sets and did very well. So, well, okay, I need to put my birds to bed, or else I could talk and talk and talk forever. Um, I do have actually, this is sitting on top of, but I have all of these. So this is a Bootstrap Farmer tray, and like I said, this is Bootstrap Farmer. And these are American Seed Tray Company from Epic Gardening. And these are super sturdy. And they have the slits in them, you know, to kind of help with air pruning of the roots. I really like those. Of course, they are an investment, but they're worth it. And that's what these these big boys are. You know, they're 4 inches. And I've started tomatoes in these. This year I'm doing kind of both. So I have 6 more of those to fill. And then I have 3 more. I have a lot more to do. But here I have American Flag Leek, Sweet Spanish Utah Yellow Onion, Pequeño Blend, peppers, white habanero, pineapple ricotta pepper, Acapulco Purple, and Big Jim. Those are some of the peppers that I've started. Okay, I plant my peas April 1st. Okay, all right, so that's just a couple weeks off of Good Friday. April 1st. All right. I'm gonna, last year, no, okay. I think, I hope more of us uh, go back to some of the old ways. Oh, never knew any old timers that grew potatoes. Really? Okay, interesting. I mean, I only knew my aunt and uncle that did. Well, no, I think my grandparents did as well. Um, but they've been gone before I really got into gardening. I wish they were still around so that I could share. They were gardeners, and big time gardeners. They had a big garden, and uh, I know we would have great conversations. Yeah. But yeah, he did. You know, he shared some of his potatoes with me. From his, he had raised beds, but they were in ground. My beds are not attached. I do have membrane and hardware cloth on the bottom of my beds. I don't trust my soil. At this point, 6 years later, I'm probably some of the roots probably get down into it, but yeah, my soil's got some weird stuff in it. But yeah, so he had a bed that he grew all potatoes in, and I swear those potatoes tasted better than the ones from the store. Um, and potatoes, while I haven't grown, I have managed to get like tiny potatoes and tiny sweet potatoes. Um, they're really super rewarding. Root crops are really rewarding when they actually grow. Um, so I'll be giving that a shot this year. All right, first year with peas. Okay, all right. So you don't like them dried or fresh, and he likes them dried. Is that correct? Um, the one thing I found, I grew black beans one year, and I didn't realize that you really have to grow a lot. I don't know for peas. I've never grown shelling peas. I always eat my peas fresh, either snap peas or the snow peas, and eat them raw or I cook them. And I didn't realize how much it would take to grow, say, beans. If you want dried beans, like you really need like a whole bed to make it worth it. I mean, growing your own pea. I'm not trying to discourage you at all by any means from growing your own peas. I think you should do it just because you want to, because he loves peas, and figure out how that works for you. But Tillet, do you have I are you a content creator? I'll check. I'll check after this live, or I'll check this evening. Um, I'd love to see how your peas. I want to grow shelling peas, but I'm like, you probably have to grow, because I know that like with fresh peas, you can pick them as they are ready, and the plant will keep growing more. But for shelling peas, you've got to let the plant produce. Correct me if I'm wrong, Freeland, uh, or Tillet. Hey, I'm not trying to assume you don't know what I'm talking about, but I assume it's like beans, and you got to let the plant produce all the pods it's going to produce, and then you let them dry, let the plant die, let all the fruits, the pods dry, and then you harvest them like that. So I'm curious, how many, yeah, anyways, I'm rambling. But heck yeah, good for you. Peas, I have last year I transplanted some peas, and they didn't love it. They did grow, but they were stunted at first. They had transplant shock. And I also started a bunch in ground from seed, and those grew a lot better. I grew the golden sweet pea for the first time, and they were really pretty plants. They were, more yellow green, but they had these purple flowers. And the fruits were a golden yellow pod. But they weren't as good as I was hoping they would be. But yeah, peas and beans are really satisfying to grow and pretty easy to grow. My channel is left over from when Okay, I thought from your name, Tillet for Connecticut. I had a feel I made an assumption. Um, but hey, props to you for taking that on. That's a big deal. To I don't Props to you, especially in this day and age. Okay. Yeah, sugar snap peas. I love sugar snap peas. My mom my mom grows so many flowers, but she's not interested in gardening, and yet she is a gardener. But last year I convinced her to grow more and to save her own seeds and grow from seed, and she's growing her own snap peas, and she grew a ton of them. They weren't quite as productive as she had hoped, but I think she's already put some out this year. She texted me the other day and was like, "Can I put my peas out now?" I said, "Well, you can try," because we've been warmer than not. I said, "You can try. I wouldn't fill up the whole space. Put some, like 5 or 6, leave room just, because she said, can I plant them out now if I cover them? And I said, yeah, you can try. So she's already dropped some pea seeds, but I told her save room to drop some others later to succession. So, but yeah, sugar snap peas to grow your own sugar snap peas is really rewarding. My African gray likes them. Yeah, I've not grown a cover crop, but I have, what is it? I have clover seeds. And I know about cover crops, but I feel like I don't understand exactly because do you grow? All right, I'm going to ask this, then I'll get out of here. If you don't mind my picking your brain for a minute. Freeland, when you grow your cover crop, are you growing it on a bed that that you're not like is it basically a retired bed? Or because my assumption is that if you're growing in that bed, if you've got tomatoes in there, you're growing until the very end of the season, at which point there's no time for a cover crop to grow. So when do you start your cover crop? Are you growing the cover crop for the season? Like, have you retired the bed? If you wouldn't mind giving me a second with that. And then I'll head out. But this has been really great. I've really enjoyed talking to you both. And Teach Happy, Freeland, please tell Teach Happy that it was a pleasure meeting them. And I appreciate them coming into the live and saying hi and getting to know them. And maybe if they're a preserver, they could give me some tips on canning because yeah. Anyways, okay. I will head out in 4 minutes. So I was recently in my worm bins, my Canadian nightcrawler bin. I found what I think is a Canadian nightcrawler cocoon. I did not see any Canadian nightcrawlers, but the bin is teeming with other compost worms, and they are big and healthy. If you guys missed it, my last from March 5th, my blue worm bin visit was great. They are doing really well despite how chaotic and messy that bin is. They're in it now, and they're running the joint. But the Canadian night crawlers, I've begun the process. I'll post the video. Maybe I'll post the Canadian night crawlers Friday. Because today it was bin 1. Yeah, Friday I'll post the Canadian Nightcrawler part 1 because I started the process of taking out some of the material. There's so many worms in there. I didn't bother with picking the worms out. I just scooped all the material out, and I'll have to pick them out later because I don't want to get rid of any of the Canadians. So, but yeah, this last visit was the Canadian Nightcrawlers, bin 1, bin 2, and I peeked into bin 3 when I gave them some leaves as well. So, yeah, I've got more than enough castings. I'm really curious what's going to happen with my fruit trees because I usually, like I had my fig trees and my, oh, my brain is blanking. It starts with a P. It's not pomegranate. It's a fruit I didn't even care about before. Total brain fart. Okay. I left all but my fig cuttings outside. Some of them went in the garage. The rabbit girdled one of them. And the ones up on the deck by the house, I couldn't, that one was too heavy. I couldn't get it up on the deck. And then it was frozen when I tried to get my guy to help, and I was like, let's just leave it next to the deck. It didn't mess with any of the ones by the deck, on the deck. But I'm curious. I really hope that they survive. So we'll see. Okay, till it. Usually as a filler to cover soil after something gets harvested, like after. Okay, that's what I thought. That makes sense. And I've not. So that's why I've never gone ahead and actually tried to use cover crops, because I'm always trying to fill my beds, even as sometimes they wind up being covered in weeds. But okay, that makes sense. And then if I'm correct, you till it into the soil the next season, right? Will you till that cover crop in this spring? Till it says I've added a 18 count of Canadian. Oh, yes. I am so curious. Till it, if you feel like updating your channel and putting up some content, I'm just saying it might be a great idea. Interesting. Okay, let me know how that goes. If you decide not to post, then I'd love to hear from you. You can post anytime. I think that viewers can post on my community tab. Now the thing, I had 75 Canadian night crawlers, and all the original ones died, because the ones that I've seen here and there, the few that I've seen here and there, are they've all been smaller, so I know that they're not the originals. And my assumption is that either they died because there's not enough soil, or the material, like maybe they can't survive in castings like regular compost, well, they're not technically composting worms, like composting worms can. Or my most recent theory is they say that Canadian night crawlers, they're considered they are classified as anesic worms. So they burrow in permanent vertical tunnels. And I'd read that before, but it hit differently the last time I read that. Permanent vertical burrows. Because the other worms that travel horizontally, there's epigeic are the composting worms, endogeic are the other worms. And then there's anesic. And the other worms, they burrow horizontally. They live in the soil. And they feed on the soil. They feed on some leaf litter, but not very much. But they exist in temporary burrows. Like they make burrows, but they make different burrows, and whereas the anesic worms burrow vertically and in permanent. So I'm wondering, was it the disturbance, the fact that I stir up my bins? Did that have an effect on them? So you'll have to see my latest video, because no, that's part 2 that I actually add the material. But I've put some soil in. So let me know, please. Let me know how that goes with the Canadian night crawlers. Maybe keep that in mind, that I have to edit. Hey, yeah, I feel you. I ramble. I edit. I don't edit out a lot. I edit out some stuff that I don't want in the video. So, if I accidentally record myself, or I drop the camera. But yeah, whatever. I don't mean to pressure you. I first took interest in starting a channel period in 2020. Obviously, I didn't start it then, but it was all because of worm farming, actually. I first learned about it and I first got into it, and I was looking up other worm farmers, and in 2020 there weren't as many as there are today. And I really wanted more, and I wondered if, hey, should I start a channel and share my worms, because I wish there was more worm farming content. And so that's what really got me going into that's what really got me even thinking about doing a channel. Could it have gotten too hot? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because they're in my basement, and my basement is, I mean, it's not like intentionally heated. You know, there are some vents that vent into the basement, but for the most part, it doesn't get below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. But in the winter it stays in the 50s. So that, no, I don't, because when I first got them, when was it? It was January of 2025. And they survived. I think they died after the heat. Because I was worried about that too. But I don't know. No, I don't think they did. Because I would expect, yeah, I would expect them to then, their numbers to come up as the temperature increased. But I think they started dying before it really got hot. But that was a good question. It was January 2025, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, no, it wasn't in the fall. It was before that. I think it was January. I remember going to the store, then I got my car washed. Yeah, I think it was January. So no, again, that was a really good question, but I don't believe that's what it was. I found your channel looking for worm answers. Oh yes, Tillet. I recall, I believe you have asked me a question. That's great. That's great. That's what I love, again, about the positive side of social media, is we can be a part of clubs, basically, worm farming clubs, gardening clubs, without having to actually go. So we can kind of talk to each other on our own terms and see each other on our own terms. And yeah, I think that's great. Well, I'm super glad that you found me. Just like I'm super glad that Freeland found me as well. We have some great conversations in the comments, which, by the way, Freeland, I'm super sorry that I have been very delinquent in replying to comments. I go through these kind of weird anxious phases where, yeah, but I will. So it's not for lack of interest that I have not replied. I promise I will reply. And yeah, all right. I said I was going to get off 25 minutes ago, and I should. It's now almost 9 o'clock. The time change, man, the spring forward. I would not be mad if they went ahead and canceled the whole daylight savings thing, because it's weird to me that it's 9 o'clock. Oh yeah, I just remembered I was going to go to the store. Huh. Not anymore. All right. Well, you guys, okay, great. Good to know. I am gonna hop out of here. I need to put the birds to bed. They've had a long day, so they're being extremely tolerant. Otherwise, there would be screaming ensuing. But thank you so much, you guys, for your Tillet and Freeland Farm and Teach Happy. Thank you so very much for your time and your interest. As I always say, I really appreciated this conversation and getting to know you guys a little bit more and hearing what you're doing. And for the tips, I'm gonna remember that, Freeland, about the carrots. I'm gonna remember that about the carrots. Yeah. And I do. And good luck with the chard. I feel like it grows. I feel like it's pretty easy to grow. Um, I don't always get as big of, but that might be a soil thing. But yeah, definitely a satisfying crop. They're related to beets if you don't already know that. And they're beautiful. I don't love how they taste a lot, but my bird likes them and I learned to love it. I eat it raw and I eat it cooked. All right, I am going to stop rambling. And again, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys spending this time with me. And I know that I've long since stopped sowing seeds, but yeah, this was really great. You may or may not have heard me say that I was on TikTok earlier, and then nobody came in the live, and I was like, all right, that's fine. I'm used to rambling on my video, so I'll just do that. So I thought, you know what, let me go over to YouTube and see what's going on. And Freeland popped in. I was like, hey, yay, I know you. This is so great. And Tillet, then you came in, and then Freeland's spouse came in, and I'm like, yay, big happy family. Awesome. All right, that's enough. I need to stop. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, stay warm, happy gardening, and yeah, grow all the things. And I look forward to communicating with you guys more in the future. Reach out to me anytime if you've got suggestions or even just something you want to tell me or questions. I'd love to talk to you. So have a good night. See you later. Take care. Freeland, please teach. Good night. And I'll see you guys around. Be safe, be well, and bye for now.